Kinds of knowledge. I'll begin with the claim that there are other kinds of knowledge by which we may know occult or spiritual truths. As a response against skepticism, the advocate of this position must say exactly what that kind of knowledge is. Divine revelation is a popular example, and importantly, they must say just what qualifies it as knowledge. That is, how can it test a proposition against the claim that it is false? If they cannot supply these answers, then we have to conclude that they are using the word knowledge in a different way to the rest of us. It is too easy to dismiss this claim of other kinds of knowledge in this way, but we must not be too hasty to do so, as there can be a coherent notion behind it. There are broadly two interpretations of spiritual belief. The first is objective and the second subjective. The objectivist interpretation understands spiritual beliefs in the same way that we understand other beliefs, as being about the world, how it is, and as such they may be true or false. The subjectivist interpretation treats the word belief in this context as metaphor, and thus spiritual beliefs are not about how the world is, but are ways of experiencing it, bringing to it meaning and value. Subjectivist language can also use the word truth in a similar way, so that a spiritual truth is not true as opposed to false, or with reference to any fact, but rather a fact about some individuals and how they engage with the world. Where the words belief, truth and knowledge are used by people in a subjectivist manner, they are not subjects of skepticism. However, many people, perhaps most, who have such spiritual beliefs do hold them in the objectivist sense. Certainly, most people who seek tarot readings hold and are led to hold objectivist beliefs about what those readings mean. Irrationalism. The irrationalist rejects the application of rationality to all things, claiming that some things simply aren't governed by or understood by the rational. The rationalist cannot accept this, taking the position that rationality is either opt-in or opt-out, because the middle ground is not rationally defensible. Consider a dictator who has decided to exterminate a whole portion of the population. Challenged on this, he gives no rational justification for the decision, but claims to be willing to listen to the case against it. Now you have two options: offer a rational case or an irrational one. If you offer an irrational case, it will be as irrational as his own, and carry no weight against it. If you offer a rational case, he can say, but this is an instance where rationality does not apply, and so my decision stands. But if you disagree with me on this, then by all means make your case. Now you can challenge his position that rationality does not apply in two ways, rationally or irrationally, and face the same problem again. There is no middle ground, and any person who takes an irrationalist position may believe whatever they wish and cannot be debated. Relativism. Relativism is very old and has been counted since at least Plato, nearly 2,500 years ago. The relativist claims that truth claims are relative as opposed to absolute. If this claim is only about some truth claims, then it is trivial, either invoking the difference between "this is sweet for me" and "this contains sugar," or creating the same problem for a middle ground as we found with irrationalism. So it must be a claim about all truth claims. But this means that the relativist is claiming that it is absolutely true that there are no absolute truths. It is a self-refuting position. I must admit I am sceptical as to just how earnestly relativists take their own claims. They certainly seem very earnest in debate, but in everyday life we find things are a little different. How many relativists have marched to their child's school to reprimand a teacher for giving their child a bad mark? "How dare you impose your truths on my child? If it's true for him that 2 + 2 make 5, then that's true for him." And when we reflect, we can find the fiction of relativism in our everyday experience. I recall a local newspaper article from some years ago which told of a toddler who had eaten blackcurrant tarts for his dessert, and then, in the garden afterwards, eaten some more blackcurrants. Or at least, that is what we can assume he believed them to be. That was his truth, according to the relativist. However, irrespective of what he believed, or how earnestly he believed it, the berries were really deadly nightshade, and that little boy is now really dead. You can believe what you wish in life, but reality bites. The concept of truth. The fourth response I would like to mention is really just a variation on relativism, but it is common enough to warrant individual mention. The claim is that other cultures have a different concept of truth, and so we cannot evaluate their truth claims with our concept. The claim is by no means limited to the New Age, but is sometimes, sadly, found in some areas of academia, such as sociology and anthropology. The two key words to keep in mind are different concept. Imagine that you meet a man who asks you if you have a concept of a circle, and when you reply that you do, he asks you to describe it. He then looks a little surprised, saying that that is very different from his concept of a circle, which has 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. His concept of a circle refers to something completely different from yours. He is conceiving of something else that he just happens to give the same name. If we try to talk of cultures having a different concept of truth, then what we mean is not that what constitutes truth varies, but that the application of the word varies. If the word truth is being applied in 2 different ways, then we must take care not to conflate them, else we can call chickens tables and conclude that tables lay eggs.